All right, so welcome back to Dapp University. So today we're going to go through a big update about what's happening in the blockchain world. We're going to look at some cryptocurrency prices, and we're going to answer the biggest burning question, or at least explore the biggest burning question that's on a lot of people's minds is, is this time different for the cryptocurrency markets compared to every previous cryptocurrency market cycle, or is the same thing just going to happen all over again? All right. So before we get into that, if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to become a blockchain master step by step from start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. All right, we got people rolling in the chat here. So we got Ali, Aruna, Average Joe, Sotop Jr., Christopher, Catherine, Rodrigo, Rob T, Juna. So welcome. All right, awesome. So let's go ahead and jump into the cryptocurrency markets here. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up my stats on the screen here. So honestly, like just my first instincts and looking at the markets today is it's kind of a boring day, to tell you the truth. As always, not a big trader, not a big TA guy. I just like to look at the big picture. I've watched these markets for years, just from a big picture perspective. Watched things go up and down, the boom and bust cycles, everything. I've seen it all. Okay. But yeah, so just kind of taking a look at the front page here on the Lizard website, that is CoinGecko. Let's just see here. Take a look at this. Yeah, everything's pretty boring, right? Especially in the top 10. It's just like kind of sideways / slowly. Like you don't. It's just kind of random. Random mild red is what I would say. We'll look at each individual chart here. Look at Ethereum. Of course, we're at $1,771.77. That's a lot of sevens in there. Last 24 hours, of course, we've closed lower than we were 24 hours ago. I don't have the candles pulled up here or anything like that. Just some mild bearishness. Again, looking at the big picture here, I'm not worried or anything like that. As always, not trying to call like where the market's headed next. It would really surprise me if we'd just knife down or something like that. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm still bullish. That's the biggest picture here. So I'm still bullish long term. I don't have any big indicators to think otherwise. I don't think anything's fundamentally changed in the markets. I think a lot's going to really happen soon for Ethereum, especially with the scaling solutions that are coming out soon. We've been talking about that a ton on this channel. As always, not financial advice. I don't know what's going to happen to the Ethereum price with that, but I think it's going to rekindle a lot of excitement for Ethereum. Just the ecosystem itself, drive more adoption of ETH, and a lot of times that does happen to correlate with the price. So we'll see. As always, not financial advice. Let's look at Bitcoin as well, kind of for an overall market indicator. Yeah, same sort of story. We got just like some mild bearishness here. Again, I'm not going to try to draw moving averages on the charts and get into some crazy technical analysis and make myself look like an idiot. It's not really not my wheelhouse for sure. But yeah, again, same with Bitcoin. I don't see anything here that is just causing me to really worry. Zooming out, if we were to break any of these previous lows or something like that, that's when I might start asking a different question. Yeah, so we'll see. We take a look at the chain analysis here. Maybe pull up my metrics. So one thing y'all can keep watching out for is I've been doing a lot more chain analysis lately. Looking at a lot of the data on chain. I'm actually working on creating my own dashboard for this. So you'll probably see that in the videos here pretty soon. That's something that I'm hoping to get out there for you all to be able to use too. So, just keep that on your radar. It might be a little while before that's, ready, but I'm excited about it. All right, so let's pull up the metrics here. Number one metric I want to look at is the Nupal chart. Okay. This is what's one of my go-to metrics, just for kind of looking at the overall market health. So Nupal metric, yeah, we were headed towards 0.75 line. Again, 0.75 is the threshold for euphoria. When we get into euphoria range, typically that means the market's kind of in a state of greed, kind of like we may be in a blow off top type of scenario. And yeah, we're definitely we're headed in the opposite direction of that. So again, a quick recap of the Nupa metric. It's basically an indicator of how much the network's in profit, and when you start getting most 75%, it's just kind of like a signal for people to kind of like start taking profits. You know what I mean? Like it's like I'm trying to think about how to justify the metric without thinking about math, without just thinking about people's psychology. When you're in a room full of really crowded people and everybody's made a lot of money, guess what happens? Or when almost everybody's made money, somebody starts selling. You know what I mean? And whales look at these charts. People are really smart, been in crypto for a long time, look at these charts, and they tend to that's typically their signal. Now, we don't know how long we'll stay in euphoria. I feel like the Ether charts, the Ether chart can stay kind of overcooked in euphoria for a long time, but I typically like to look at the Bitcoin chart for kind of overall market indication of what's going on. So that being said, let's jump into our burning question, which was the title of this video, is this time different? Okay. So this truly is the $1 million question for a lot of people in crypto. And let me explain exactly what I mean by that. Okay. So you see a lot of people on YouTube, everywhere on the internet, talking about cryptocurrency. Okay. Talking about the cryptocurrency markets, the prices, their price predictions, all this kind of stuff. Like, I don't like to give firm price predictions on this channel. It's just, I'm probably going to be wrong if I do that. And I don't want people to buy and sell based on that information. So I try to stay out of that. But I do like to look at the big picture stuff, okay? And I do like to at least entertain some of the big questions. I'm not opposed to like trying to like break down price predictions and say, are they legit? Are they viable? All that kind of stuff. That's different. But the $1 million question truly is, what is the nature of this market cycle? And that's something that people disagree on, but it's based on a set of assumptions that people use to make their price predictions. It's a set of assumptions that people use to basically formulate their entire investment thesis. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So two schools of thought on this, okay? Roughly. There's more than that, but I'm going to pose two that are really important to decide between. And as always, not financial advice. You got to be careful when you're trying to figure this information out, but some people think that basically this time is going to look a lot like the last 2017 cycle, where basically, we kind of have this slow rise with some bumps and some pullbacks, and some bumps and some pullbacks. This is just really rough, right? And then it's going to end in some big parabolic blow off top. And pretty much every coin's going to do this. And then it's going to do this, and do this, and do this, and then do this. You know what I mean? That's sort of the boom and bust cycle. That's sort of like theory one, all right? And then, theory number two is that we're in a much bigger cycle. And a lot of people say this is like a 4-year cycle, okay? And this is basically surrounding like the Bitcoin halving cycles. So if you know Bitcoin halving, basically every 4 years, the Bitcoin block reward gets cut in half. Okay, we see the stock to flow chart, which you can see here. Sorry, I have a hard time navigating this live. Anyways, I can't pull up the stock to flow chart right now. But anyways, the stock to flow chart kind of tries to predict the Bitcoin price based on how much Bitcoin's issued. Anyways, less Bitcoin is produced, the demand of Bitcoin stays the same or grows. Basically, the Bitcoin price goes up, and it's able to kind of track that. Okay, so people justify this based on stock to flow, like this is what happens just based on human behavior. There's expectation that it's going to happen this way again, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of different justifications for why we would be on a 4-year cycle, 4-year boom and bust cycle with it, followed by at least a year, maybe multi-year bear market here. Okay, so the other idea is that it's sort of like the up only thesis. Okay, so I say up only, I don't just mean like blast off to infinity forever, right, with no like price corrections. That's not what I mean. What I mean is basically a much bigger cycle that's much gentler undulation rather than like boom and bust. So like crypto would still stay volatile, okay, but the overall trajectory over a period of many years might be something like that, right? So what do I think about this? Well, I see pretty smart people on each side of the fence of this. Here's my initial thoughts. This is a dangerous assumption right here, and this is a safer assumption. So this is not financial advice. This is just how I'm thinking about it. If you look at this market cycle and how it's tracking compared to last ones, it looks a lot like previous market cycles. If you assume we have history on our side, of course, we don't have a ton of history, only a few market cycles. But it's safer to assume that history will look similar to, or it's safer to assume that the future looks somewhat like the past. Okay. But we'll see. Like, nobody knows for sure. That's the crazy thing about this whole process, is you're watching it happen in real time. That's really what investing is in this case, is like you're betting on your beliefs. You're betting on your judgment about what you think the nature of reality is. It's absolutely insane. The other thing to think about here is you're basically betting that human nature is a sort of like it was last time. Basically, when you see this really fast growth, people just tend to pile on it, and you get this big euphoric blow off top. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Is this time different? Are we on the exact same cycles as the last time? Again, I'm inclined to be in this camp because it's a safer bet. All right, it's less downside risk if you plan for this happening. If you assume that this is happening and you don't sell and you ride out into a multi-year bear market, then that's not going to be fun. I'll put it that way. So one thing to think about, though, is at some point, I do think that crypto will essentially become less volatile. You know what I mean? To where we don't have these insane boom and bust cycles, simply because when the market cap gets that bigger, it's harder for it to be volatile, as volatile as it is now. All right, I think we'll still have volatility for sure, but that's also when crypto has less like risk associated with it. So let's look at some more things that would kind of impact that. Okay. I'm going to look at a couple things. One is like this story that I saw come out. So Morgan Stanley, a threshold is being reached on crypto as an investable asset class. Okay. So a new investor note penned by Morgan Stanley's wealth management unit dated Wednesday outlined a case for cryptocurrency as an emerging investable asset class. So this is big. We talked about sort of Bitcoin kind of becoming like a household name, an institutional grade asset. People talk about that. Kind of elevated the status of it as a real investment in other people's minds. We're seeing like Cathie Wood talk about the modern investment portfolio, including 20% in cryptocurrencies, okay, as opposed to the old 60-40 portfolio between stocks and bonds. May look more like 60-20-20 with 60% equity, 20% in bonds, and 20% in cryptocurrencies, okay? So definitely cryptocurrency is being elevated in the status and elevated in status in the eyes of more traditional investors, okay? So I think this is going to like trickle down, to other assets just outside of Bitcoin. Like, I think ETH, we've already talked about, institutional adoption of Ethereum. I think, it's just sort of the next stop on the journey down the rabbit hole for people who get involved in crypto. They think about Bitcoin. Okay, what's the next thing? What's the leading platform where all the DeFi stuff is happening? NFTs, decentralized applications. Also, the fact that it's the number 2 market cap cryptocurrency is, pretty good advertising for Ethereum in general. Its age, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out long term. But yeah, Ethereum is definitely getting elevated in status from this like penny stock to more like a venture bet in the cryptocurrency markets. And cryptocurrency as a whole is getting elevated in status in the eyes of traditional investors. Let me turn my phone off here. So another thing is, oh yeah, well, and also we're talking about venture type of bet. I saw this come out yesterday that I thought was pretty cool. Let me just find it on my screen here. This was looking at sort of the early days of blockchain and kind of comparing it to the early days of something like Amazon, for example. Let me find it here. Yeah, I saw this tweet come out. Let's see if I can play it on my screen here.
We made a profit.
Sorry, let me just go full screen. So this was a clip from early days of Amazon. I'm going to pull up so you guys can watch it.
And Wall Street isn't concerned that Amazon has never made a profit, not a dime. In fact, it lost $125 million last year. The company says it's investing for the future. Skeptics say it would have to sell every book being sold in the world today to justify its stock price.
I think my generation grew up with Sears. And Amazon is worth 20% more than Sears is worth in market capitalization.
How do you view that phenomenon that Amazon today is worth more than Sears?
Investors are focused on the future. Amazon has growth potential that Sears doesn't.
A couple of geeks who sketched out some software could destroy Sears Roebuck.
That's the beauty of technology and the microprocessor. We've never seen anything like it.
And Wall Street isn't concerned that Amazon has never made a profit, not a dime.
Yeah, I think that's totally like crazy. So, I think this has got a lot of similarities to what's going on in blockchain world, especially with DeFi right now. People not really understanding tokens, not really understanding cryptocurrencies, not understanding DeFi, its potential. I love that quote at the end where he's talking about like, like how are a couple nerds going to basically like overtake Sears Roebuck? We don't understand like why people want to invest in a company that's not profitable, all this kind of stuff. Of course, you're seeing major paradigm shifts happen about that time, and how people invest and how they value companies and how companies should spend money around that time. And of course, today we look back and see Amazon as the absolute behemoth that it is today. So let's see here. Another thing we got an update from is we talked yesterday about Elon Musk selling his NFT on top of Ethereum, or maybe we didn't know if it was Ethereum or not. That was our speculation. But of course, we have an update here that actually it doesn't feel quite right selling this. We'll pass. So no NFT from Elon, at least at this point. Maybe he'll change his mind again later. Maybe it's a slow play. Maybe he's sort of just like teasing us, and eventually this will hit the scene. But at this point, it doesn't look like it. So we speculated on this. Would he eventually launch this thing? Would he sell it for some astronomical price and maybe like just donate the money or something like that? But at this point, we're putting pause on Elon's NFT. But NFTs are still crazy. Of course, I think they're in a bubble, and they have a ton of long-term potential to add value to lots of different areas. But for now, yeah, of course, they're in a bubble. Do I think it's quite the same as the ICO bubble that some people talk about? I don't think it's quite the same. I think there's some parallels for sure. But of course, we did see a $70 million Beeple painting sell. That was pretty nuts. So somebody says, what about central bank digital currencies and their effect on Bitcoin and ETH? That's a good question. So I don't know what their effect will be for sure. One thing I do worry about with something like central bank digital currencies is basically just tracking. You know what I mean? Basically just the ability to track everyone's activity. I do worry. Somebody talking about the other day about like kind of worrying about blockchain. That being the long end result is like the incentive for bigger institutions to adopt blockchain technology is basically just to track you more. So let's hope that's not what the future actually holds. Will miners' revolt hurt ETH? Long term, I don't think so. Multi-chain blockchain projects are the future. Maybe. We'll see. That's also another big debate. Is the future actually multi-chain? We don't know. A lot of assumptions. A lot of people think, oh, of course it's going to be multi-chain, but I don't know. In reality, is it? I mean, we're technically a multi-search engine world, right? But how many people honestly use the other search engines outside of Google? Like hardly anybody. On the grand scheme of things, some people do, but vast majority is Google. My lookalike is Jim Carrey. Well, I take that as a compliment. Jim Carrey's awesome. This is what is multi-chain? Basically, a world where we do things on different blockchains, like predominantly on different blockchains. Somebody says less volatile equals less aggressive growth. Yes, that's also true. Well, volatility just has to do with the ups and downs. But when you start to get big changes in volatility, that's when you have the big parabolic blow off tops. What do I think of Polygon? I think it's a cool project. Look like a full-size Lord Farquaad. I'm thinking of that from Shrek. Do I code in Solidity or Viper? Mostly Solidity. I've done a little bit in Viper, but almost everything is in Solidity. Will Ethereum pass Bitcoin market cap? I think it can at some point. I don't know that it will. I do think it's possible, though. Some people say it's like a pipe dream, never going to happen. I don't think that's totally true. Especially if ETH becomes deflationary. The fact that ETH is programmable, you can put it in smart contracts, you can stake it. ETH, when it moves to proof of stake, will be more green. All right, that's a huge narrative. If ETH becomes deflationary, it could be a better store of value than Bitcoin from that narrative perspective. There's a lot of narratives that could flip in ETH's favor long term, and then just fundamentals that could also flip in ETH's favor long term. So we'll see. Especially if ETH really becomes the dominant world computer long term, I think it would be crazy. It has a lot of potential. But Bitcoin has a ton of momentum behind it, right? I think there's a lot of factors at play. I like Bitcoin, no problems there. I hold Bitcoin. Do we think we'll see another DeFi summer? It depends on what you mean by that. So part of the thing that happened with the last DeFi summer, I was around here, I was in the middle of it. It was sort of just the initial spark and innovation. So if anybody's wondering what that means, is like last summer in 2020, that's when DeFi really grew legs and took off. We saw yield farming projects really explode. We saw a bunch of projects hit the scene. Sort of that late spring, early summertime was when a bunch of the major prominent projects hit the scene. A lot of projects did their initial DEX offerings. Yield farming, Wi-Fi came onto the scene. Yield farming just exploded. Okay. So I think it's unlikely that we'll have that same impulse again anytime soon, unless something really new and hot hits the scene. Okay. I think scaling is going to be big, but I don't know that it'll have the same. Well, I don't know. I don't want to speak too early, right? Because scaling just improves stuff that we already have. The DeFi summer explosion created a bunch of new stuff we didn't have. It wasn't fast. It wasn't cheap. But it was new functionality. It was not an optimization or an enhancement. Okay. So I guess you truly don't know what you don't know. So if something brand new comes out that's novel, that's amazing, we could see another DeFi summer around that type of thing. But I don't know what that is. I don't have any good indication to think that something like that is around the corner. Any good jobs for non-coding jobs in crypto in 2021? Yeah, pretty much any tech job that you can think of will exist in crypto. So, I'm just gonna, no particular order here. Any type of marketing job, crypto companies need it. Honestly, if you understand crypto, you're gonna have a huge leg up in the marketing world, because marketers just need to understand what the heck's going on in crypto. A lot of the marketing in crypto is really bad, actually. So any marketing job you think of, copywriter, just full stack marketer, any of that kind of stuff. On the product managers, project managers, I'm trying to think of non-coder jobs. Anything you can think of, but any other tech startup, you're going to have plenty of opportunity for in crypto. Any update on layer 2 scaling solutions? So no major update right now. We're kind of waiting. Oh, I can't believe I forgot to mention this. Yes, I do actually have an update, kind of. I can't believe I forgot to mention this. Okay, so hold on. So thank you for everyone who stuck around the stream because you're about to get a nice, exciting update. You might have seen this yesterday on my Twitter. So I do post some of the things I talk about in my live streams on Twitter. So if you want to follow me and get faster updates, then you can definitely follow me on Twitter. So yeah, this actually is a pretty big update. I should have talked about this at the beginning of the stream. I totally forgot. So we did see this tweet yesterday from Hayden Adams, creator of Uniswap. This is not necessarily directly about layer 2, but this was a retweet talking about Uniswap still dominating at 60% DEX trading volume, close to its all-time high. It's been 3 months since the end of Uni liquidity mining, so this is from real use and adoption. He's basically saying people aren't just using Uniswap to get free money from the liquidity mining rewards, but they're actually using it. But then he says, I've heard a new and improved version of Uniswap protocol is being announced soon. It's big. Okay. I'm assuming he's talking about Uniswap v3. We don't know. I'm assuming he means it's going to have layer 2 scaling solutions. We don't know. That would be, I mean, I'm inferring some things here, but all the breadcrumbs are there that something really big is about to happen. All right. It's not financial advice, as always. But, of course, this is Hayden Adams, mastermind behind Uniswap himself, kind of leaking a little bit of alpha here. So, as soon as this happens, be first to know. One thing to think about is no live stream this Friday. I'll be unavailable for a stream that day. So I really hope this doesn't happen like on Thursday because I want to be the first to update you all about it. But if it does happen then and I can't talk on the stream, then you'll find out about it very shortly after. Okay, so this chat's scrolling really fast here. Somebody says Uni on all L2s. We don't know for sure like which L2s are going to do. I have a good feeling that optimism is going to be part of this. We've seen lots of praise of optimism from Uniswap. Like on Uniswap's, I mean on Optimism's website, we have kind of a mention of the benefits of optimism on there. There's of course the UniPig exchange, which is launched on Optimism testnet. I'm inferring a lot of this stuff again, guys. Like I don't, some of this could be a little bit different, but this is the general direction things are headed. Will they support other L2s? Perhaps. We'll just have to wait and see. Somebody says, when does this cycle end? Well, that truly is the $1 million question. That's kind of like what we're talking about earlier. $15.59 launches. Which coins will go high, you think? Well, not financial advice, but I do think that $15.59 will have some impact on the price of Ether. We don't know how much. As always, not financial advice. I'm not saying Ethereum just going to instantly go to the moon as soon as $15.59 is implemented. But it's just a technical change that really impacts ETH's economics. I think it actually will have some impact on the price of Ether. Well, it remains to be seen how much. But I guess to answer your question, I think it will impact ETH. Assuming that, that still assumes that demand for ETH is the same as it is now or higher. People still have to want to buy ETH. People don't want to buy ETH and only want to sell ETH, relatively speaking. You know what I mean by that. Then it doesn't really help that much. But assuming that we are still in a bull market, people demand it, then I think it'll have an impact on the price of Ether. Do I use Atom, Sublime, or VS Code? I use Sublime Text, mostly because that was one of the first text editors that I learned to code on, to tell you the truth. Like, many years ago. I just never changed. There's lots of great text editors out there. I'm just kind of a creature of habit. Whenever I learn something and it works really well and there's no compelling reason to change, I don't really change. All right, everybody, that's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel. It really helps these videos out so more people can learn about blockchain. If you like these videos, you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, I can show you how to become a blockchain master step by step from start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. All right, you have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding background become real world blockchain developers in a matter of months. All right, so that's all I've got. Until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.